darkness. A cold, suffocating void pressing in on all sides. The silence is absolute, save for the rhythmic beeping of a dying oxygen meter. Commander Elias Voss blinks sluggishly, his vision swimming. His fingers twitch against metal, the thin layer of frost covering his gloves cracking with the movement. His mind feels distant, sluggish, like an old machine booting up after years of disuse. The emergency lighting flickers, casting long, jagged shadows along the walls of Icarus. Once, a proud colony vessel, now a drifting graveyard. Debris floats listlessly in the microgravity, frozen bodies twisting in slow motion, their empty eyes locked in expressions of terror. Elias doesn't need to check the ship's status. He already knows. There's nothing left. The ship is silent, save for the low, agonizing hum of a barely functioning power core. The once bustling corridors are abandoned, their walls torn open by some catastrophic event. He doesn't remember what happened, not exactly. There was a mission, a distant star system, rich in promise, a routine voyage that became anything but routine. His helmet's cracked visor blurs his vision, but the HUD still functions, barely. He struggles to focus, blinking through the haze of oxygen deprivation. The data is grim. Food reserves, depleted. Oxygen, less than 2 hours. No rescue. Signals detected. No habitable planets within reach. He is alone. For a long moment, Elias simply floats, listening to the soft, rasping sound of his own breath. He has seen death before, too many times, but never like this. This isn't a battlefield. This isn't the aftermath of a fight. This is erasure. The slow creeping hand of oblivion wiping away humanity's existence piece by piece. A distant pulsing light catches his eye. A flickering beacon. A signal. Weak but unmistakable. It isn't coming from Icarus. His heart lurches. Something else is out there. With renewed purpose, he pushes off from the wreckage, drifting toward the observation window. Beyond the shattered glass hanging like an impossible monolith against the backdrop of infinite space is the structure. At first, his oxygen-starved mind struggles to comprehend it. Massive, ancient, alien, a construct of impossible proportions, untouched by time or decay. Its surface is smooth, matte black, absorbing all light like a void within the void. And yet, it is not dead. The beacon pulses again. An invitation? A warning? He doesn't know. Elias exhales, watching the last of his breath cloud against his visor. He is already dead if he stays here. Whatever that structure is, it is his only chance. There is no hesitation. He pushes toward the airlock, sealing his cracked helmet as he moves. His hands tremble, not from fear, but from purpose. If there's even the slightest chance of survival, the last human alive isn't going to let the universe take him without a fight. He won't go quietly. The tether unspools behind him, a thin, fragile lifeline connecting him to the wreckage of Icarus. Elias propels himself forward in slow, measured bursts from his suit's thrusters, each pulse inching him closer to the alien structure. The vastness of space stretches endlessly around him, a black sea where no gods watch, no voices call, and no salvation waits. He tightens his grip on the control handles, forcing himself to breathe slow, a useless effort, considering the depleting oxygen levels. The HUD flashes red warnings across his visor. Oxygen critical, suit integrity failing. None of it matters. If the structure isn't habitable, he dies anyway. The alien monolith looms ahead, an impossible construct of shadow and silence. Up close, it isn't just massive, it's unnatural. Its surface disturbingly smooth, absent of seams, ridges, or any sign of construction. It isn't metal, not entirely. Something else, something alive in its stillness, lurks beneath the surface. Then it reacts. A slow, almost imperceptible shift ripples across its exterior. A seam appears where there was none before, a slit of darkness forming in the center. A door or a mouth. Elias doesn't hesitate. He grips the edge of the opening and pulls himself inside. The moment his boots cross the threshold, gravity returns. It isn't a jarring pull, but a smooth transition, as if the space within obeys different laws. His feet hit the ground lightly, and for the first time since waking up, he isn't floating anymore. Inside, the air is breathable. His suit systems take a reading, and the data is as impossible as the structure itself. Oxygen levels. Stable. Temperature. Optimal. The suit seals retract automatically, responding to the new environment. He removes his helmet, inhales deeply. The air is crisp, sterile, but real. His heartbeat slows. He is still alive. But he is not safe. The interior of the structure is vast and eerily silent. The walls, if they can even be called that, seem to shift subtly at the edges of his vision, their surfaces neither solid nor fluid. A faint, pulsating glow runs along their length, as though the very walls breathe. Elias walks forward, boots echoing against the smooth floor. No dust, no signs of wear. Whatever this place is, it is untouched by time. A sudden noise, soft, almost mechanical. He whirls around, muscles tensing. A figure stands at the far end of the corridor. Not human. Not entirely alien either. It is tall, its form elongated and shrouded in something that is neither cloth nor armor. A shifting, flowing material that ripples like liquid metal. Its face, or lack of one, glows faintly, featureless except for a single circular light in the center, flickering like an ancient star. Elias takes a step back, instinct warring with logic. It hasn't attacked, not yet. The thing raises a hand. A slow, deliberate motion. Not a threat, but a greeting. Then, for the first time, a sound breaks the silence. A voice. It isn't spoken, not exactly. It reverberates inside his mind, layered and complex like 1,000 whispers speaking as one. You are not meant to be here. The words carry weight, heavy with meaning beyond their simplicity. Elias clenches his fists, every instinct screaming at him to run. But where? Back into the void? Into death? Instead, he speaks. His voice is raw, hoarse from dehydration and exhaustion. I had no choice. The figure tilts its head slightly as if considering. Then, a pause. Then you are the last. A cold knot coils in Elias's stomach. The last? The meaning behind those words is clear, but he doesn't want to believe. Humanity is gone. He wants to deny it, to rage against it, but deep down, he already knew. Icarus wasn't just a failed mission, it was the last mission. The thing watches him, silent and unmoving. Waiting. Finally, it steps aside, revealing a second corridor. This one is different, lined with towering monolithic structures flickering, with strange shifting symbols, data, records, histories of the dead. Elias exhales sharply. His hands tremble. The room ahead holds answers. But does he want to know? The last human alive clenches his jaw and steps forward. Elias steps into the corridor of monoliths, his breath slow and deliberate. The walls pulse with a dim, shifting light, the alien script twisting and rearranging itself in patterns he doesn't recognize. This place is old, ancient beyond comprehension, yet untouched, as if waiting for him. The figure follows silently, its movements fluid, unnatural in their precision. It does not speak again, not yet. But Elias can feel its presence, a shadow at his back, watching, studying. Then, the monoliths awaken. A surge of light races through the structures, lines of text shifting into images, holograms flickering into existence. Elias stiffens as shapes form before him. Planets, cities, civilizations, all of them, gone. The first image shows a world he does not recognize, its sky thick with storm clouds. Towering spires crumble as a great force, something unseen, washes over the land. The second image is worse. a dying star, its planets reduced to barren husks. The third? A fleet of ships, sleek and massive, burning as they fall. Elias swallows hard. This isn't just history. This is a pattern. His fists tighten at his sides. What is this? His voice is hoarse, raw. He already knows the answer. The figure finally speaks, the words humming inside his mind. The end. The images shift again, and this time the scenes are familiar. Earth. Not as it was when he left, but as it died. Elias's stomach lurches. The cities, the oceans, the very air itself, all burning. The stars above are filled with ships, but they are not humanity's. They are alien, vast, unstoppable. He watches as defenses crumble, as transmissions flicker into static. The sky darkens. And then, silence. The voice inside his head grows, heavier. Your kind was observed, tested, like the others before you. Elias shakes his head. No, this isn't real. It can't be real. The figure tilts its head slightly as if reading his mind. It was determined that your species would not survive the threshold. A slow, cold dread creeps into Elias's bones. Threshold? The lights dim. The images shift. Again, a new scene unfolds. A planet, vibrant and full of life. But something comes for it. Something unseen. Something inevitable. And the result is always the same. Erasure. The voice speaks, distant and unfeely. Ling. All civilizations reach a point of no return. Some destroy themselves. Others are corrected. Elias feels his pulse hammering in his throat. Corrected? The word tastes like a death sentence. The figure doesn't respond. It doesn't have to. He knows. Humanity wasn't wiped out by war, by plague, by its own hand. It was erased. The rage comes fast, burning through the fear like wildfire. His hands clench into fists, his entire body trembling with fury. Who did this? The answer is immediate. The architects. The word is spoken with weight, with something that feels almost like reverence. And fear. Elias doesn't care. His breath comes hard, fast. He wants names. He wants faces. He wants something to fight. The monoliths flicker again. A final image appears. A vast, shadowed structure stretching beyond the horizon. Its shape impossibly vast, curling through the void like a sleeping titan. And then, beneath it, something moves. Elias stares, his heart hammering in his chest. The architects are not gone. The figure steps closer. They do not see as you do. They do not think as you do. They are neither kind nor cruel. They are only the inevitable. Elias exhales slowly. Where are they now? A long pause. Then, they wait. His jaw tightens. His pulse steadies. They erased humanity. They think they erased him. But they were wrong. He is still here. And if there is even the slightest chance that others survived, then he will find them. His voice is firm when he speaks again. Then let's wake them up. The monoliths flicker. The figure remains still. And somewhere deep within the structure, something stirs. A low vibration hums beneath Elias's feet, a distant pulse of energy that thrums like a heartbeat through the alien structure. The monoliths flicker, their ancient symbols shifting and rearranging in patterns he still can't decipher. But one thing is clear. His words have been heard. The figure standing before him tilts its head, its singular glowing eye narrowing, considering. The silence between them stretches, heavy with something unspoken. Then the air changes. A deep resonant chime reverberates through the walls, followed by a sharp, mechanical hiss. The smooth, seamless surfaces around them begin to shift, panels sliding open like the petals of some colossal mechanical flower. What lies beyond is not empty space. It is a control chamber. Towering consoles pulsing with alien data streams fill the circular room, their light casting an eerie glow across the curved walls. Strange conduits snake through the air like frozen lightning, feeding into a single enormous central core. It pulses in time with the vibrations beneath Elias's feet. The figure moves, stepping forward toward the core with slow, deliberate motions. It does not stop him from following. Elias moves closer, scanning the displays. At first, the data is incomprehensible. Lines of flowing, shifting symbols that flicker too fast for his mind to grasp. But as he watches, the patterns begin to change, reconfiguring themselves into something he can almost understand. A countdown, a planetary map, a beacon transmission going out into the void. Elias's breath catches. The architects are listening, and they are answering. The figure's voice hums in his mind. You have called them. His jaw clenches. Good. The vibrations intensify. From deep within the structure, something awakens. The monoliths around him surge with light, and for the first time, Elias sees the scale of what he has done. This place, this vault, this prison, was never just a sanctuary. It was a warning, a final line of defense against something vast, something unknowable, and now it is opening. The figure turns, its glowing eye locked onto Elias. There is something different in its stance now, not just observation, not just curiosity, something almost like fear. You do not understand what you have done. Elias steps forward, fire in his veins. No, I understand perfectly. The figure remains still. Then, the core surges to life. A brilliant cascade of energy erupts from its center, arcing outward in spiraling tendrils of pure, raw power. The transmission beacon flares, sending a ripple through the very fabric of space. And beyond the void, something answers. For the first time, Elias feels them. The architects, not as voices, not as words, as a presence, vast, cold, beyond comprehension. They do not think, not in the way humanity does. They do not speak. They do not feel. They observe. They correct. And now, they see him. The structure shudders. The monoliths flicker wildly, their patterns spiraling into chaos. A low, grinding noise, something vast, something ancient, begins to move. The figure recoils, its form flickering as if struggling to maintain cohesion. For the first time, Elias sees it falter, sees it afraid. They are coming. Elias grins. Good. A new light flares on his suit's HUD. A signal, faint, distant, but unmistakable. Human. Somewhere out there, beyond the void, someone survived. The architects might be inevitable, but so is he, and he isn't done yet. The ship, if it could even be called that, shudders around Elias, the very air vibrating with the resonance of something ancient and awakening. The architects have seen him now, their vast and unfathomable gaze piercing through the veil of space and time. They are aware. The monoliths flicker erratically, their once orderly patterns collapsing into unreadable chaos. The alien figure beside him, the silent observer who had until now held all the answers, is now visibly shaken. It takes a step back, its shifting form distorting at the edges, its singular glowing eye flickering. You have made a mistake. The words ripple through Elias's mind, not spoken but felt. He tightens his fists. No. You did. A deep, guttural sound rumbles through the corridors, a tremor that is not mechanical but alive. Something vast stirs beyond the structure, a presence that had once been distant but is now impossibly close. The architects do not move through space as humans do. They do not come in ships. They arrive. A sudden surge of energy knocks Elias off his feet, a gravitational shift that makes his vision blur. The air thickens, pressing against his chest, as if space itself is folding inward. For a moment, he can see them, not with his eyes, not even with his mind, but with something deeper, a glimpse into the infinite. The architects are not singular beings, not entities, not gods. They are a force, a silent, unrelenting equation of destruction. They had not erased humanity out of cruelty. They had not judged, nor hated, nor feared. They had simply corrected a mistake. And now, they will correct him too. The figure beside him stumbles, its glowing eye dim. Run. Elias does not run. The pulse from his HUD flashes again, a human signal, growing stronger. Someone is alive out there. He isn't the last. Something surges through him, something the architects have never understood. Defiance. They are vast. They are inevitable. But so is he. His fingers fly across the alien interface, reading the signals, interpreting the patterns he had once thought incomprehensible. The ship, this vault, this relic of civilizations past, was never meant to be a prison. It was meant to be a weapon. The figure reaches for him, its distorted form flickering in and out of existence. You cannot stop them. Elias grins. Watch me. He activates the core. A deep shockwave explodes outward, a pulse of raw, unfiltered power tearing through the ship's systems. The monoliths crack, the walls shift, and for the first time in untold millennia, something resists the architects. The presence in the void recoils, not in fear, but in recognition. A variable they did not account for. The architects see him, and Elias, he stares right back. The pulse intensifies, the ship trembling, splitting apart at its seams. The last remnants of the vault, of every species that had been archived and erased, are released. Data floods outward. Signals burst into the cosmos. Not just a distress call, an act of defiance. A declaration of war. And then, the ship breaks. The gravitational force collapses, the energy surging outward in a blinding explosion of light and sound. Elias feels himself being pulled into the void, into the abyss of stars. For a moment there is nothing. Then, his HUD flashes. A new signal. Closer. Human. A voice. Weak, fragmented but undeniably real, echoes through his suit's failing speakers. Survivors, beacon active, Earth still. His breath catches. Not erased. Not yet. His fingers grip the emergency thrusters. The architects may be coming, but so is he, and this time humanity will be ready. Darkness. Cold. Silence. Elias floats. In the vast emptiness, his suit battered, its systems barely clinging to life. The wreckage of the vault drifts around him, fractured shards of an ancient tomb that no longer serves its purpose. The architects are gone, for now. His breath is slow, measured, each inhale a reminder that he is still here, still fighting. The HUD flickers weakly, struggling to maintain power. Then a signal, not the alien beacon, not the architects, something human. His pulse quickens. He forces his stiff fingers toward the interface on his wrist, overriding the failing system, amplifying the signal. Static crackles through his helmet, and then, "You copy?" The voice is distant, weak, but real. Elias's throat tightens. He swallows hard, his voice raw. "This is Commander Elias Voss, last known survivor of Icarus." A pause. Then, relief, disbelieving and sharp. "Holy. Elias, we thought everyone was gone." He exhales shakily, forcing a source. Not yet. The HUD flickers and a new set of coordinates appears, the origin of the transmission. A colony. A hidden one. A place where humanity still breathes. Elias stares at the numbers, feeling something he hasn't felt since waking up alone in the wreckage. Hope. The architects will come again. They will not stop. But neither will he. He activates. His suit's emergency thrusters turning toward the distant beacon. Humanity is not extinct, and as long as he's alive, it never will be.